right, guys, welcome back to the Party
man.
with Marty podcast. Marty Jannetty, how are you doing?
Loving that intro, bro. That was a good one. We love to have, rock and roll, strut and stroll, slam, jam, move and groove, take care of business, have good times on here. And we're usually having a good time. But, this one's a little bit sad for the fact that, we're honoring a good friend of ours, Sabu, who recently passed away. Rest in peace, my brother. Miss you. But yeah, we're gonna do this one towards him. RVD is gonna be here. He just texted me. Oh, I didn't turn my damn phone off. He said I'm running about 5 minutes late. With RVD, that could be 5 minutes. It could be 5 hours. Now he'll be here, and then Tanaka was the last he hit me back was in the air over Delaware. But he's going to try to pop in here. So and they'll I've got a couple of Sabu, memories that are very fond to me. Fond. That's an odd ass word, ain't it? Fond.
Marty, not to cut you off, but really quick before they get on here, because I'm curious about this. I don't think we've talked about it yet. How did you meet Sabu? Like, what was that initial meeting where the two of you came together?
Tanaka came up to me when I was with WWF, and he asked me to look out for. He goes, "Hey, this is a friend of mine. You just look out for him." Sabu was just coming in WWF, and at that point, Sabu was just getting a good start with the independence, I guess, or whatever. And of course, for Pat, I'll look out for anybody anyway. But certainly I'll look out, do what I can for him. But he said he's good. He's just undersized. At that time, it was WWE was the land of the giants. So if you were weighed less than 240, you were small. And we all did. Bishan, him, and Tanaka. But he came in and made a hell of. But that's how we met. That's him and I, and we became buddies right off.
So he was initially trying to get into WWF.
Yeah.
I don't know
if it was a tryout period, because he actually went on the road for a few days, 2 or 3 days, or if that was all TV tapings. I don't know that part.
Yeah.
But I just know he wasn't there long. And I think what it was his style was a little bit, we weren't ready for it yet.
No.
The bounce
didn't come to the late 90s.
With a bat today. WWF wasn't ready for that yet.
Was Sabu already doing the hardcore in the beginning?
What's that?
Sabu was already doing the hardcore wrestling in the very beginning?
Yeah, well, he was doing very close. I mean, he didn't have barbed wire in the ring, but he was doing hardcore stuff that, it didn't bother me none. It didn't bother a lot of the guys, but some of the guys were going, oh. But what it was I think a lot of the guys were worried, like, shit, he's going to get my job. That's what I think, because a lot of that did go on. But, he and then, of course, a few years later, ECW came around and perfect for him. Boom, you shot to the top. Him and RVD, which, RVD, you might have watched as much as I did. I had to watch some of it. I had to be in it for a minute. He didn't really get involved too much with all the blood and guts stuff. I mean, he did great matches, did great moves, wild moves.
That's true.
But I don't think he did the barbed wire bat, tables, ladders, and chairs. And I don't mean this against anyone at all. But to me, when you got to rely on that, kind of says that you can't work in the ring. I need a table. I need a ladder. I need a chair. But at the same time, that's not necessarily true. Not today, because give you an example, the Dudleys, they could work.
Oh yeah.
They also loved tables, ladders, and chairs. So
Sabu could work too, couldn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh, Sabu worked. Yeah, man. Him and I had so many matches around the world, not just here in America, around the world. Where thank God I had him, because as crazy as his stuff is, I felt comfortable with him. Like he's got me, Because when you're upside down in the air flipping and or being held up for a suplex upside down, and they just hold you for a while, you're like, when is he gonna let me down? One, is he gonna let me down good, or am I gonna land on my head? With Sabu, you always got to worry about you don't got to worry, but you always got to be concerned about your body when you're giving it to somebody. You're giving your body to somebody, and if you don't know them, it's like out in the streets. You're giving your body to somebody you don't know. You're whoring yourself out, and
right.
But that's I was so, especially in other countries, because like, yes, I got Sabu, I'd be so happy, and then we'd go have a decent, pretty good match, but
Marty, I got a question in here for you real quick from Ibsen. They said in the fall of '93, he had a dark match for the WWF. Did you meet him backstage, referring to Sabu?
Yeah, that might be what we're talking about when he came through, and it's because Tanaka, I think, was still there in '93. Hard to say, man. Me and him both were in and out for different reasons, but that could be when I met him, because that sounds about right. If not a couple years prior to that, but that sounds about right.
Marty, not to kind of like get it on a down note, but over the years, man, like I was going through some of the show suggestions that the fans sent to us and other people I was reading up about, like trying to think of people to interview on the show. And it's so sad, man. These are people that I grew up watching and like idolized. And I'm like, dead. Well, what's that been like for you over the years, man? Watching all of your colleagues pass away.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I mean, a lot of, I love the fans as much as I love myself. And I love, as Terrell Owens said, I love me some me. But I love my fans, more. And, they get hurt when their heroes dies, or when somebody they watched or somebody they have seen on TV, they get upset. Imagine us. That's our buddy. That's our comrade. That's it's like brotherhood. It's a brotherhood, and so when you lose somebody in your brotherhood, it hurts. And then we went through a period. This was actually in the USA Today newspaper when that was still around, if it still is at all. But they had talked about it. There was 70 WWF guys that died in a 10-year period. So that's average of 70 a year. And it was like there was like every second, third, fourth month, you get that late night call. Hey, did you hear what happened to Davey Boy? Or hey, as soon as you would hear that lead in, you're like, no.
You already knew.
Well, I mean, it was already late night. And then when you said, did you hear what happened? It's like, shit. It got to a point where you were losing so many and so often, you made us like a circle, a tight circle. Your best friends, in the business. And so when you got that call, the first thing you started hoping is it wasn't one of those 3, 4, or 5, however you're real tight with. Which I had 5 and only got the call on one of them. That boy started crying like a little baby. But when Kurt
Hennig, ask who that was, Marty?
Yeah, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. You when you get that call, the immediate thing is, please don't let it be one of them. And then when it's not, it's almost a relief, but it's still one of your boys, So it's rough, man. I mean, sometimes for me being a partier, the phone's going to ring all night long, and people all over the country with different time zones, they don't know it's 3 a.m. here, but I'm still partying, so it don't bother me. But, they're calling. And so it wasn't unusual for the phone to ring in the middle of the night. But like I said, that when you answer, it said, hey, and the voice is like real low. Yeah. Did you hear what happened? And then you're like, no. But
what was it about Kurt, Marty? Obviously, how tight you guys were.
I think we bonded so well. When we went to AWA, when I went to AWA, then Sean came in. We became the Midnight Rockers before the Rockers. Kurt was there, and his dad was in the business, so he was second generation. And so he knew a lot of stuff. So we'd all look to him for answers, and he took it well. And he could have been like an office boy, which you get a lot of guys in the business they get in the office and they'll stab you in the back in a minute to please the office. Kurt wasn't like that. Kurt was still one of the boys. And he even got in the office with WWF, and he still stood up for the boys, So everybody loved him. But with him and I, we just bonded so well in AWA, Minneapolis, when we were living in Minneapolis, which he lived there, but he would still come hang out, days. I don't know what he would tell his wife stuff. She'd call on the phone, like, hey, baby needs diapers. He'd go get diapers, drop them off on the back porch, and then come back and call her. Like, it's on the back porch.
All right. So that did bring it down a little bit, which this is an emotional show. It's a tribute to one of our fallen brothers on here. But let me ask you, since we're talking about Kurt, he was known for ribs. What was one of the best Mr. Perfect ribs that you saw?
He got me once. And I got it. It's called a double. When you get ribbed and you make the rib backfire on them, it's called a double. Mr. Fuji used to give us grasshopper points. Very good rib, 2 grasshopper points. So we had this whole system. But Kurt one night had locked my bag. We're flying out the next morning. He locked my bag to a drawer in the hotel room. What's that?
I've heard this one. I want to hear you.
Yeah.
Oh. We got somebody that just popped in here. It looks
Who's in here? Who we got?
He's still connecting. I'll bring him up in a second.
Okay. But so I pulled the drawer out and I see the chain. I'm like, hey, I know Kurt. And there's a saying in the business, don't sell it. Don't sell it. Because that's when the boys will get you more. Because if you sell it, they get that look. But if you're like, oh, no big deal. Well, it ain't no fun to rib you. So they leave you alone. So, but I saw it, and I was like, honestly, I was still hungover or still drunk, and so it didn't bother me at all. I just pulled the drawer out of the dresser and took it with me to the airport. Kurt's like, Jannetty, your drawers are hanging out. You can't leave your drawers on the outside of your bag. I'm like, nah, it's okay. Then he started getting worried, like, oh, shit, I'm going to get in trouble. And when we got to the check-in, we went through the security. I put my bag in the drawer on there to go through. It has to go through the scanner. And everybody's looking, and Kurt goes, it's all right. He always checks his drawers. So they let it go because they all, there was like 20, 30 of us wrestlers. They knew it was WWF. They're like, yeah, go ahead. But when we got inside the plane, there was no way of putting it in the overhead. So I ended up having to take the next flight. But Kurt caught hell because you chained his bag to a drawer, which ain't the big deal. He just went with it, went with the drawer.
All right, guys, I want to take this time. We got somebody backstage want to bring on the show. Mr. Monday Night is here. Rob Van Damme, how you doing, sir?
Excellent. There he is. Fantastic. How's everybody on this fine
Good.
day?
What you got behind you, bro?
The fucking the Midnight Rockers, I think they were called, or Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and Roll Express.
You ain't got no Jerry Oats. I know you're not rolling one right now.
Dude, I'm rolling you on the TV while I'm rolling one of these for me. Yeah. How's it going?
Rob, did you do some training with Jerry too, or is just somebody that you met in passing?
I don't think that I even met him.
Jerry?
Maybe, maybe if so, it was only one time at one Greg Price show in Columbus, Georgia. I think maybe I did meet him just that one time, but I really don't know him.
Gotcha, man.
Well, I don't want to say you didn't miss out on nothing because that's my trainer. And regardless of how they end up acting, it's still the guy that trained you.
Yeah, he's not the first guy to ever molest you or anything. That was like way back.
I've been getting molested since before I was 4 years old. I ain't supposed to tell nobody that.
Well, no. We'll keep it between us three.
Okay. What you been doing, goofball? I called you the other day, and I got this wild siren answering machine. unless I called the sheriff's department.
There's no telling with you. I don't have anything too wild going on, but dude, I broke my fucking heels eight weeks ago.
Yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah. So
how's that doing?
Got a lot of sympathy for you. Fucking walking around, I look like the penguin when I'm walking around. But
how's it doing?
Doing that, Rob?
Awesome. Just being complacent. I was on the top rope and Matt Riddle pushed me off and I hit I go down and I hit the guardrail. You guys have seen me do it 100 times and I just got too comfortable, I think. So I didn't even look. I don't know. Somehow I misjudged. The guardrail usually, as painful as it sounds, the guardrail usually takes a lot of my weight from the crash. And this time, I don't even know if I hit the guardrail, but my feet weren't expecting to catch me. And all of my weight went from the top rope down to just my feet on the cement, so my heels cracked, both of them at the same time.
And you know what you said right then about you were too complacent? Well, you said about being complacent. You know,
it's always that, right?
Yeah, when I do seminars, or even at shows, I have the kids who come up to me and say, man, I'm so nervous. I mean, do you get nervous? I always say that's a good thing because it keeps you alert. It's when you're not nervous, be careful.
So true. Yeah, and that's a good example of it. And I think even when I think about it, if I ever bam, kick somebody in the face and really hurt their jaw or whatever, which I've done a couple times in my career. When you think about it, it's the same thing. It's not, because I'm not looking at them with my eyes and giving everything to that exact. If you gave everything you had, then you'd be all set. You never fuck up, but yeah, sometimes you're on cruise control going through it or whatever, and you expect it to be there because it usually is, and that's when
more times than not.
We're talking about
you know what you're saying about the fan. You reminded me something you said there was back when I first started. I don't think we would dare do it now, but when you had a fan you just didn't like. Just he's giving you shit is getting to be too much, trying to take over the show from ringside. We'd always got to get out there and line up, either the babyface or the heel, line up right in front of them. You go take that big swing and have them duck and wham, knock the shit out of them. But today that's a lawsuit.
Yeah, and it should be. It should be. No, anywhere in society, it's not cool anymore to go around and physically assault people, that have said anything to you. You know what I mean?
Well, even verbally.
I have my own perspective, one of a kind views, but that is something that I call it RVDology when I talk about, what I've learned and my values that I use that I would, share with someone if they're interested. If
right.
If not, then whatever. I don't blame you. But for those that want to know, we were growing up, brought up, hey, don't you ever let anybody disrespect you or your family. You punch them in the mouth. No, I would not recommend that. Maybe,
no, not anymore.
Yeah, maybe till you're in 4th grade, maybe. Fifth grade, but definitely not as an adult. And people listening, a lot of them can relate to situations, where someone's like, what? You call yourself a man? You should have done something.
You can't win.
Not everybody is physical anyway. We react and think of solving problems physically because we're strong. A lot of normal women or men aren't the cavemen that we are, and they might not even think, wait, this person offended me, I'm going to physically, hurt him. It's normal to us, but not to everybody, and it's not something that should be as normal to anybody.
And I found out in New York City one time, going from Grand Central Station, I had to go up to Port Authority to get a bus. It's 4 blocks. And I got my bag, the roller bag coming, pulling behind me. Dude tries to snatch it. And he's got it. I'm thinking he was drunk, but I spun around and just threw a wild ass punch and barely grazed him. And he started do. And then I'm looking at him like, well, what do I do? I mean, do I hit him again or what do I do? And I just took the bag and just kept going. And this lady stopped me. She goes, "You just gonna let him go?" I said, "What do you want me to do? Go knock him out?"
Right.
I mean,
hit him again.
she said, "Well, at least go call the police." I said, "Fuck, he'll be gone by then. What am I gonna do?" I just wanted to get back down to the bus station. But yeah, you can't win. Damn if you do, damn if you don't, right?
There's
Rob,
cameras everywhere now, so nobody's getting away with shit that they used to anyway.
And it's not even necessarily getting away with it. I mean, sometimes you're justified in what you do, but not this time.
Then it's good that there's cameras. So I am a fan of cameras. I'm a fan of transparency. I got nothing to hide.
Then you love Trump. Because I mean, there's no transparency there. He's got the press in every damn day inside the White House.
Yeah.
So, fellas, I know last month was a very hard month for both of you. We talked a little bit about it before you got on, Rob, but with the passing of Sabu, the wrestling world lost a great one, a legend. Can you tell us, Rob, how did you initially meet Sabu, and what was that like?
The first time that I met Sabu was at my first introduction to the wrestling business and getting trained by the original Sheik, and it was through a mutual.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. How long it's taking you to roll that damn joint?
Yeah, I had to cut it. Fucking, I got to put a filter in and everything. It's worth it in the end.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Anyway, somebody had hooked this meeting up, so I got a tryout, so to speak, with the original Sheik. He was already training with them, and it was in Lansing, Michigan, just outside of Lansing, and it was inside of a garage in the middle of winter, so it was freezing, and this garage was a mechanic's garage. Sheik's son was a mechanic, and they had cut the ring in half to squeeze it in there. So it was 8 feet by 16 feet. And the rope still went around all four sides. You know what I mean? That's just how they had it. And I wasn't in there with Sheik. Sheik was there, I shook his hand, met him and stuff. And then he told me to get in the ring with this other dude. And it was Sabu. And I didn't know who he was. It was obvious soon that he was Sheik's right-hand man that was going to be in there doing the physicality with me. But he at the time had
one day related?
Huh?
Were they related?
Yeah. So Sabu's mom is Sheik's sister.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so Sabu grew up idolizing Sheik, Yeah. He always wanted to be Sheik, and I learned that about him. But that first day that I saw him, he had like an afro. He looked like a hippie from the 70s. Had a really big afro. And I just thought, like he looked kind of skinny, had a mustache, and I was just, like, man, who is this dude? I never heard of him or seen him, or what's he gonna teach me? And then we locked up. He gave me an arm drag, and I was like, oh sweet, dude, show me how to do that. But I taught him how to do some flips, and he taught me how to wrestle.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, man.
Both of y'all were real good at that.
How often did you guys talk right there at the end with his passing?
Oh man, we always talk a lot. Usually it's just a text message, if we don't see each other. I didn't see him since WrestleCon. That's the last time I saw him, but I was
the other week, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks before he actually died, and
I was at that one. Did we run into each other and I just forgot?
I don't know, man. Maybe. I don't think I saw you though. I don't know. I saw a video of you walking, and it looked just like right where I was at WrestleCon, but right behind me, and I was thinking maybe we did. I don't know, but I was off my feet Katie was pushing me around in a wheelchair, so I wasn't going around.
Oh, I didn't see you then. Okay.
One, I wasn't trying to be seen by anybody. You know what I mean? I was kind of hiding my shit under the table, and two, it wasn't easy to go around. I couldn't say hi to everybody anyway. But it was just In and Out for me, not In and Out burgers, but it was, you know.
How was he doing at that show, guys?
He had laryngitis. I looking back at it, I think that he didn't look super healthy. I think he looked kind of like he had a little bit of a bloat, kind of like
and tired. Like I got a picture with him. I just looked. I sent Eric earlier, and I look at it. You know, when I was there, I just thought, well, he's been on the road a few days. Right. Now, you know, a few weeks gone by, and that's happened. And look at that picture. I'm like, oh my God, he looks so tired right there. You know, it changes everything. You know,
we haven't got the cause of death yet because of his ex-wife, who he divorced years ago. They never did it officially, so she is still next of kin, and she's in Japan because she's Japanese. She lives over there. She's got her own life. She has there's a window of time where if she doesn't sign these papers, which it doesn't look like she has any interest in
doing the right thing.
Well, it's not just that. I just think, I don't know. She's a really good person. So I don't think there's anything malicious. I could imagine maybe she doesn't understand the holdup, and she just maybe doesn't want to know. She was expecting it for a long time anyway. You know what I mean?
She was.
Well, dude, if you knew Sabu really, really well, and you didn't think he was going to die at least once or twice, then you didn't really know him that well.
Yeah.
Oh, Marty, we can't hear you, dude.
Did you hit the mute button by chance, Marty?
That's it, but he, you know.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I did hit the mute button. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, but anyway, like he put her through a lot back in the ECW days. She was very patient. You know, he was those were the Soma days when they started. There was a lot of passing out, embarrassing moments, near-death moments, wake up in the hospital moments. And I'm talking, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's a really good person. I can just imagine maybe now she's moved on with her life, and maybe who knows, maybe she's married to someone else, and she just knows, you know, that people are trying to get a hold of her to tell her Sabu died. Maybe she doesn't even know all the details. Yeah. You know, I've tried, I've left messages and stuff, but I don't know. Either way, there's just a window of time that they give until the next of kin status transfers to Sabu's sister anyway, and we're almost there because we're talking 30 days from May 11th, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, which is coming up. Yeah.
So, but so anyway, we don't even know like the cause.
I thought somebody said his heart just stopped.
I saw an article that said he had a heart attack. So that's crazy because that's the thing nowadays. I see reports that somebody's died all the time, and that's fake. You never know what to believe.
No confirmation on shit. Okay, I heard this, so I'm gonna print it.
Yeah.
And then
you know what's really? I've never seen so much misinformation being told about someone in such a short amount of time. Not only that. But as soon as they do all that, they always get his age wrong. They always say he was born in 64 instead of 63. They always say that he was 60 instead of 61. A lot of times they say his name was Terrence and it wasn't. And they even have him born in Staten Island, New York on some of the shit. Like the one WWE had all of that, and the only thing they got right was his picture.
It's hard to fuck that up, but they could.
Yeah, it was him though.
So, Rob, I'm curious, man. We've got to see a lot. You know, Sabu left many memories for the fans. Of everybody knows how talented he was in the ring. What was he like behind the scenes? What kind of person and friend was Sabu?
Well, he was a great friend, you know. But he really loved the business, like more than anybody I know. He was brought up, you know, since he was a little kid, like being in the wrestling business. He understood it. He loved being in it. Back in the ECW days, man, he would book himself every single day and like twice on Saturdays if he could. Sometimes I'd be tired on the road, and he'd say, "Hey, there's someone running in Delaware on Sunday. If you want, I can try and get you on." And I'd be like, "Fuck no, dude, man, I can't. I need that day off." And he's always been the opposite. He loves the camaraderie. He'd be happy if all the boys that he likes, you know, all just stayed in his room instead of getting other hotel rooms, because he just likes being around the boys. And, you know,
that's kind of, you know, Pat Tanaka and him were pretty good friends for whatever reasons. And the reason I say it that way is I think it was around the turn of the century here, 2000. We were down in Tampa doing some kind of convention. He was there, Pat was there, I was there. Well, Pat and I came together. As soon as he found out that Sabu was there, he's like, "I got to get to Sabu. I got to get to Sabu." I'm like, "Okay, what are you telling me for? What do you want me to do?" And he finally found him on the second day. And
then they were inseparable.
Yeah, we couldn't find him. Couldn't find him anywhere. Everybody was looking for either Sabu or Tanaka. They weren't at their station. They weren't doing what they were supposed to, you know, where they're supposed to be. Myself, Tanaka had to drive us back, being the girl, I won't say Shay's name, was going to drive us back to Tallahassee, where we were living at the time. And he's missing, so we got no ride home. We're sitting there like, you know, man. And he finally shows up and he says, "Oh, no, man, I'm just sitting in Sabu's room. He didn't want to go nowhere." Well, damn, can you let somebody know something? Shit. But like you said, you know, Sabu's just completely happy with that, man. You're sitting with the boys.
He never wanted to appear like super approachable. You know, he got that from the Sheik. The Sheik is always intimidating 24 hours.
Yeah.
And Sheik, Sabu liked to have that vibe. But
and he did kind of.
Yeah, but underneath that, he had like a nonstop sense of humor. I was always able to break through that shield, you know, and be able to get to him and make him laugh, even if he was like, "What? Why's everyone good, dude? What? Okay, what do you want me to do?" You know, and then I would be able to just say something to him, you know, and he'd laugh, you know, and then he'd be like, "I don't," you know, he wouldn't want people to see him smile, so he'd try and
which was rare when he did.
Yeah.
Was Sabu a ribber?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a ribber. He did have a great dry sense of humor, and, you know, like to man, we have inside jokes throughout our whole career that, you know, just memory like brings it around. You just remember, like, but now there's like all that's gone because there's nobody else
except for the members
that's gonna know. When I say brown finger, they're not gonna know what I was talking about that night in Memphis or what that was referring to. You know?
Well, you just left us to guess.
I know. I was sitting there like, do I want to ask?
Yeah.
He but you know, like
brown finger.
He also had a lot of respect for a lot of people. Although there was a lot of people, they'd be like, "Ah, fuck that guy," you know. And a lot of times it would be either based on just a bad encounter, a bad first impression that was made or something, or it could be on something really big too. But you know, he was never. He was uncensored, unfiltered. Got him a lot of heat a lot of times. You know.
Yeah, if you didn't know him, he did come off as standoffish. But if you knew him, you knew he's not like that.
But he wanted that. He didn't, you know, like the worst thing for him would be some Mark acting like he knows him, going up, "Hey, Terry, guess, you know, I know you're so-and-so." He'd be like, "Get the fuck away from me." You know what I mean? Like that's.
Yeah, when you use the real name, that already is insulting. Like,
exactly.
You know something. You know something. Right. I mean, get the hell out of here.
Exactly. Oh, you know better than I do, I guess. You know him better than I do.
I found that picture you was asking me about, man. Is this the one you're talking about?
That was the last time I saw him. Look, I mean, if I look at that, knowing Sabu,
He's the one on the left.
I look at that and I'm like, now I look at it like, damn, he looks tired right there.
He looks tired. I think he looks like he has a little bit of bloat. I remember thinking, like,
I see it. Yeah.
Maybe he's gained, 10, 15 pounds in the last couple of weeks. It wasn't that long ago. He was here at my house and we were filming his documentary. But I remember he looked a little heavy and I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
But the 3 weeks later after that, he went to Philadelphia and he was there doing some business. There's a podcast he was on that is like the last footage that people have of seeing him. But when he came back from Philadelphia on that Friday night, or was it Saturday?
That part ain't gonna matter a lot.
It's not. Well, the only thing is, I'm thinking like he died on Mother's Day, which was Sunday. Okay. But typically, but I mean, actually, it was late Saturday night / early Sunday morning. Yeah. So you got to keep that into consideration. But anyway, his girlfriend told me that when he came back from Philadelphia, he couldn't hear out of his ear. He was deaf. And also, he wasn't feeling good, and he wanted to go to the hospital. Now, if Sabu wants to go to the hospital, that's a miracle. He could.
Well, any of us, really, you know how we are about hospitals.
And and I got that from him, and he was the epitome of no, I'm fine.
Yeah. No, because Addie gets on to me all the time. She goes, let's go to the emergency room. Like, nah, and then I find out later you should have went.
Well, that's what I'm saying here.
Got a question from one of the viewers. They said, how did you guys feel about his last match and what were your thoughts? Did you get to see the last match with Sabu?
Who was it with?
I'm not too sure.
Janela, Joey Janela.
Yeah. That was his last one?
GWC, yeah. It was his last match.
Joey's pretty good, so I imagine they had a good one.
It was either this night or the night before that you got that picture. It was that weekend, that Friday.
Yeah.
And, man, you know what? Like, I saw him after the match, and everybody seemed so happy with it. Everyone's like, man, we got our money's worth. That was crazy to see him doing all that stuff. And then at Sabu, I said, hey, seems like everyone was happy. Like, it was all right. He goes, I got another one in me. If you're interested, I want to talk to you about doing the match. And I was like, shit, I can't even walk right now, but give me a minute and get back on my feet. And then the crowd, all of a sudden, this interview came out where Janela said something about Sabu taking Kratom. And then all of a sudden,
that's what all that was about.
It went everywhere, dude. People that have no idea what Kratom is.
Nobody does. Everyone that's talking about it's talking out their ass. I've been using it for years.
Me too.
So when they talk about it, they sound so stupid.
And I'm still trying to find it.
We're gonna hook you up with that, Marty.
I mean, I recommend it if you're.
Well, a lot of people have, and I've been hearing about it. And there was one store here where I live in Columbus, stink ass Georgia. Where they said on the window, Kratom. So I'm like, yes, all right, let me check it out and see what it's all about. And went in there, they're like, no, we can't sell it no more.
No, it's everywhere in Columbus.
There's very few places. Places where it's
lately.
Oh yeah, man, it's all over Columbus.
Well, I guess I'm in the wrong day. I talked to the wrong people. They just didn't like me. It might be because I'm white.
Big Pharma just don't like it because it works, right? They want to push what they want to push. Really quick, Stranger Than Fiction on here said, is it true that the Sultan gimmick from 96-97 was pitched to Sabu, but he turned it down because Vince wouldn't allow his uncle to manage him? Any knowledge on that, guy? About a Sultan gimmick for Sabu?
I know nothing about it. I know the Sultan gimmick was, I don't know why they did that, but but I didn't know that part. I never heard that. That don't mean it ain't true. I didn't know it.
Yeah, I guess they're saying he turned it down because he wouldn't let his uncle manage him.
Because Vince wouldn't allow his uncle to manage him. Well, no, I think you're right. Sabu must have turned it down because Vince wouldn't allow his uncle to manage him. I guess you're talking about the Sheik.
Well, he did good by turning that one down.
That might be the story that Sabu's told, where they wanted to put the Iron Sheik in that position to manage him. And he said, I couldn't do that to my uncle. My uncle, that would kill my uncle.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, he used to tell us, by the way, I don't even know if they even crossed paths, but the Sheik, original Sheik, used to tell us back in the day when we were training with him that he helped the Iron Sheik along. He said that about everybody, and a lot of them, I find out, it really did. Greg the Hammer Valentine, and a lot of people stayed at his mansion, and he helped them. He stayed there for a long time and went on the road with him, learned a lot. Parents would drop their kids off when they want them to learn. Kids, meaning wrestling students. But anyway, Sheik told us that the Iron Sheik, stabbed him in the back, stole his gimmick, stole his boots. And
damn.
So that's why Sabu was like, I couldn't have the Iron Sheik as my manager instead of my real.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh wow, man, yeah, that definitely makes more sense.
That paints the picture there.
Yeah. Ibsen Arroyo said, RVD, how happy were you to do the Hall of Fame with him in 2007?
That was really awesome. I mean, I would, I don't know. I'm trying to think, is that what was more honorable, inducting the Sheik into Hall of Fame or getting my own induction? Because really, it was like, I'm always so happy to represent that spirit. I'm proud of my tutelage. I feel like it was Sabu and I that were the descendants to carry on the spirit of the Sheik, and now I feel like it's in me, and I feel like it's Sabu and Sheik is the spirits now, and I feel like I'm the only one that's got left out of the family, and it's something that I'm very proud to represent and to be in that position.
Yeah, and with good reason. Yeah.
Rob, I want to ask you something. I was asking, I asked Marty this before you got on earlier today, just going through some old rosters and stuff, thinking about people to bring on the show. And it was so sad, man, the people I grew up idolizing. I was like, dead. I mean, there was more dead than there was alive. What's that been like, throughout the years, watching your colleagues pass away like this? That business is so rough on their health.
Well, I mean, I'll throw it out there. Sabu's the closest person to me next to my wife. So that one hit a lot harder. Still hurts, but the older you get, the more people you see pass. And it's that's your option. You want to be like one of them and you want to pass and then you won't see any more happen, or you want to keep on going forward at that cost. And that's how I look at it. And, when all the wrestlers were dropping left and right, the mid-late 2000s. And
it was a 10-year period. Every third month we get a call.
It numbs you a little bit. I mean, if nothing else, it prepares you. It at least prepares you so that when it happens again, you're not quite as shocked.
Do you think that numbing is a little bit of a necessity?
It's everywhere in life, bro. The more experience you have, the more exposure you have to everything, and so thereby the less you're ever going to be, oh my God, this is my first time doing this. If you live to be as old as Marty, you've done everything in life.
and you know what I don't understand is when I was younger, it didn't a damn thing worried me. I didn't care about nothing. All right, that happened. All right, just go around. Oh, that happened. Just go around. Now that I'm older, though, all of a sudden, and I was telling Eddie about this today, I worry about every damn thing. My brother told me, he goes, that's because you know more now. So I don't know. Is it a blessing to know more? Because now I get scared all the time. I'm looking for anxiety medicine. I never need that shit. What the hell?
I personally, though, I don't think that I get shocked. Everyone's like, oh my God. Every time people are let go from WWE, the whole world is shocked, and everyone's like, shocked that R-Truth got let go. And it's like, I mean, it's surprising, but I mean, I personally never felt like I was anything above expendable when I was in WWE. I mean, even when I was getting the strongest pushes, I felt like at any time they could have said, "Oh, you know what, Rob, we're things aren't working out here." I never felt, if they're like, "Oh, they're laying a couple people off this week." For me, I was never like, I know they need me. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, me and you are liking that though, because there's never a time that I don't think somebody else can take my place. I didn't, when I got hurt, it wasn't so much that I didn't want to miss a day because I was worried somebody, but I was always concerned when I was healthy. Like somebody's new kid's going to come along and do what I do better. And as soon as I make a stumble, he takes over. Always, my whole career, I always thought that. But when I did get injured, I didn't want to come off the road because first of all, I liked the money. Secondly, I was single, and the women, I didn't want to miss out on the women. He took Vince coming around one time because I had a torn rotator. He goes, "I want you to take some time off." I'm like, no. He goes, "Look, I know you want to keep going, and your 70% is better than most people's 100. But I want you at 100." Vince McMahon. Vince, because he wanted me to take time off because I couldn't get my arm up any higher than that. I couldn't even throw a clothesline. It had to be a low clothesline. But then he wanted me to take time off and heal, which I didn't want to do. But he said, "You'll still get paid. Don't worry. I need you at 100%. So, basically he, made me come off the road. But otherwise, I wouldn't have. At that point, it wasn't for job security. It was just I like being on the road. Like you were saying about Sabu, I loved being on the road. I mean, being single, there was women every night. There was party every night. The rockers, the rock and roll lifestyle, that wasn't a gimmick. That was real.
Yeah, and you probably just have like a little apartment or a tiny little fucking house sharing with someone else anyway, right? I mean, as far as home, if you had like a big ass fucking mansion with everything Marty Jannetty needs in life there, it wouldn't be as easy to love being on the road.
Well, back in the day, the thickness of WWF days, we would go 20, 30 days in a row and get 3 days off and go another 15 or 20 and do 2 days off. And when I had a house in Orlando, and the girl, I'm not going to say Raylan's name, but when I was seeing her, I would come home on them 3 days off, and you're tired of shit after 30 days on the road. It's an airplane every day. You eat breakfast in New York, lunch in Chicago, and dinner in LA. And you get home after 30 days of that, you're tired. So take that first day to rest real good. Then the second day, what club is doing good tonight? And my poor girl, I would tell her, I got to go out and do this business meeting thing. I'll see you later. And I'd go out and party and whatever else. And the third day off, now you're paying the bills and getting packed to go on the road for another 20. But she rarely got to see me. Rarely, even when I was home. Rarely. It's like Bret Hart once said, doing the job we do, your family becomes strangers and strangers become family. And it's kind of true. You better make friends with people on the road because that's all you're going to meet.
But yeah, where people end up feeling irreplaceable is I think they lose sight of the fact that you're just at a workplace.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you could say it's a family in the respect that you're going to really meet some people that some of them you're going to love, and maybe you'll talk to them your whole life, but you're both just still at a job together.
Yeah.
And that's always temporary.
I think Vince McMahon wasn't immune to
it. Evidently not. Kurt Hennig said it best one time when he had told us, and he was like our teacher. You had asked earlier, Eric, about what was it about Kurt? Kurt was always one of the boys for the boys. And, he had such a good knowledge of it because his dad wrestled and he learned so much from him. But he would tell us, like, remember, guys, we are only ordinary people with an extraordinary job. So it's not you, it's the job. The job you do is what's so great. You're just no better than the next guy walking down the street. You know,
Yeah.
he's got his value somewhere else. You know, might be stealing your muffler tonight, but he's got his own value.
For certain. And, you know, at the same time, everybody's got their unique traits. I'm curious, what was it about Sabu? What were those unique traits that made him different than the rest of the wrestlers?
For me, I loved his easygoingness. But see, I got to know him not like Rob. I mean, they're deep in friendship. With me and Sabu, it was a cut up. It was a party. You know, Rob, you know him at different levels.
Yeah. What was so different about him, huh? His perspective, I think, is really the root of anything else that made him different. I think that he saw his chances and his position different than a lot of people do. I think that's something I had in common with him, you know, and that's why we gelled, I think, in a lot of ways. He looked, I mean, when it applied to the business, just everything like that, that him and Sheik taught me is like, made me believe, like it like turned me into my mindset, you know, where I'm like in a competition here. And man, I can tell that a lot of people don't have that. And it's not even about that anymore. Now it's about, but man, he would say, you know, like your bullet or your body is a bullet, you know, so you use that and you throw your body at somebody, you know, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. And he was like, you know, he was talking about like, bam, when you do that, you know, it hurts you too. And like when you know, like actually like when someone clotheslines you, you know, like bam, first there's the pain of getting hit with the bam across the throat or whatever, but then there's another one, boom, now you just
hitting the floor,
bam. And I mean, I think that a lot of small things were like natural to him that a lot of people just miss out on. Just the thought, like imagine everyone is just watching you the entire time and watching nothing else but you. That's the mindset I got put into, and I can tell that a lot of these people aren't, or they just don't care. But I don't think they know any better. But you know, now you know, because we've been complaining about the same stuff for years, and they're not changing it. You know, as far as standing out there and just stopping what you're doing, you know, to wait, you know, why? You know, why are you doing that? Everyone's just standing out there waiting to catch whether they're going to bump with it or even if they're going to take him and put over a hurricane round or whatever it is, you know, it's like they check out and check in. And I feel like when I was trained, if I would have even tried to do that, Sheik would have came over and choked me. And then he would have said, Sabu, why weren't you choking him? And he said, I was going to. You just got there first. Then he would choke me. And then
but you told me, didn't you tell me, was it you that told me a story about one day of training that he'd roughed up his face or neck or something like that? And I forgot how it went, but he was pretty rough with you.
Sheik? Yeah, he would put his hand, because there was in my training there was never any. This is how to do A or B without hurting you or without hurting your opponent. There was never any room for any of that, you know. And Sheik, like he would when he would turn it on, and he was just always, you know, was on, and he would come over and he put his hands on my throat and like backed me into the ropes and was like choking me, you know, and you know, back and forth and the big eyes and biting my nose.
That's what it was. Yeah, he bit you.
Yeah, no, he would do all that shit. And I mean, the stupidest thing I could have done would have been like if I would have laughed or something, which wasn't even a thought in my mind anyway, because I was pissing my pants. But I mean, you know, it was all just like, you know, fucking, you taking this seriously? You know what I mean? And it was like believing. It was just about believing. It was about the mindset, checking into it and staying into it. If Sabu, I mean, nobody's perfect, but if Sabu and I were outside, the ring fighting, and somebody was going to be diving out on us. Even when we were green, we would have like grabbed each other, and like grabbed each other's heads or
doing something,
punch each other till he gets there, whatever. I mean, what's wrong with that? Why do you got to stop working?
Stop and turn and then hold your arms out.
Yeah, who said stop?
I mean, I hate to say it, but the girls, I mean, because they're so good now compared, to the beginning when they all come out.
Yeah,
the girls are bad about that. Like somebody's going to do a flip off into them. But there's both of them, the heel and the babyface. Both of them turn, hold, and wait. What the hell are y'all doing, man? Come on,
it's changed. It's changed, but a lot of the reason that it's changed is because the people that are doing it now, this generation, they were in the crowd watching, thinking that they knew how everything went, thinking it's a work and that they understand it all. So now they're in it, and then they made it and manifested it like what they thought it was. So now they're doing all these moves that wouldn't even work in our time. We wouldn't have been able to ask someone to help us do this move to them. Can you help me do this move to you? Like, if you look like I'm doing it, but you're doing 90% of
it.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, dude, but it sounds like, in wrestling, a lot of people play the politics to kind of get up, but Sabu just didn't strike me as a politicker behind the scenes. Was he?
Definitely not.
No, I would say no on that.
He seemed like the exact opposite from that.
Yeah, and like seeing life in a bigger picture kind of seems silly, but when you think of the mindset you have when you're in the dressing room, like when we were in Japan, in All Japan, the bus was split into like the Office clique and the Hoods, and it was like Sabu would never have been with the Office guys, who had always been with the Hoods. And I was with the Hoods just because I like to smoke weed, and then that put me in there with Gary Albright and Danny Crawford.
Before you came on, we was talking about Kurt Hennig. Why I liked him so much and all that. We were real close. But he was like what you were just saying. He actually got in the office in WCW. He was in the office, working. But he was always one of the boys. A lot of the boys, like you were just saying, kiss ass to office. But Kurt Hennig got in the office, and he still stood by the boys. He was the only one. I mean, all the boys, once they got in the office, they're kissing office ass and treating their own friends like, fuck you.
Yeah. But then it's also their job. I remember one time Mickey J, the referee, was like he was standing outside the door writing what time, we showed up, and I was always late,
Are you
serious, dude? You're a stooge now? He goes, I fucking have to. It's my job. And I was like, I guess he's right.
It is. But somehow
refs are all stooges. That's their job.
And somehow Kurt found a way around it all, though, and still was loved. He was loved. It's hard to do this, balance that. The office loves you, and the boys love you. That's hard to do. You're either one or the other. That side of the bus or this side.
Sabu was so not office. He would piss the office off a lot, especially when he first started using tables, 90, I don't know, 94, 95, somewhere around there. Like no one else was doing tables. Sabu was doing it. And when he came over All Japan, where I was, they would tell him, no tables, no tables. After the match, he'd bring a table and fucking break it. And he'd piss the office off. And, why are you? And he would just do it if it felt right. He would do whatever he felt right and say, fuck the office. One time he and I wrestled each other over there in Japan during this time. And I didn't talk to anybody. Sabu talked to whoever, and then came and told me, hey, it's me and you tonight. We got 15 minutes, whatever. You know how it works, Marty. Yeah. I'm saying I didn't talk to anybody. He did. So we went out there and had the match, and I beat him, and came back, hey, thanks, man. Good match, right? That was awesome. And then the office comes back, and they say, why you change finish? It's like, why? Why you change finish? And we said, he didn't know. He said, I did. And he said, they wanted me to go over, but that wasn't right. It's time for you to go over. This is your time right now. It was the right thing to do. So we would stand right up to the office and fucking piss them off all the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit. I mean, they
Changed the finish. I didn't even know he was supposed to go over.
Would you say like he was your main competition, like in the early ECW days?
I would say, yeah, definitely during then and over my career, I would say I wrestled him more than anybody else because starting out with him and then having wrestled him, for all those years before ECW, then ECW, and then again, in WWE or TNA, whenever we would have a chance in Japan, tagging with him or wrestling against him. Either way was awesome. My favorite guy to work with.
Just gonna say real quick, backstage we got Tanaka, but it's saying his mic and his camera isn't connected yet. So Pat, if you can get that hooked up, I want to bring you on stage, brother.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here an hour ago. When I did the advertisement thing, I said, well, Pat's over Delaware, up in the air. He may make it, he may not.
Rob, you talk about like how you just kind of have to keep going on as you're getting this news because you're getting it all the time, and it's one thing in life you can't, it's gonna happen. At the same time, how has Sabu's passing hit you different than the others?
Well, his presence is still very strong. He's had a very Sabu One Kenobi kind of vibe to him. And
I like that.
He still feels like he's almost tangible. It's weird. Like I almost feel like I can call him. Anytime you lose somebody, not only that you love, but that loves you that much, it's a major loss in life, Yeah. Sabu thought I was the best wrestler in the business. There's one less guy that's gonna think that now, But he did it. He would when we were alone, he would tell me, he believed in me like so much, always. And I had that support. That's a major loss, It's just,
no doubt.
Yeah, just like when you lose a family member, that's someone that really, really loved you. And when it comes to the other way around, when you think about how much you love them and you're grieving, I got into this just inner self-thought, and I was thinking, is grieving because you're missing something?
Yeah, you're out, or because they're out.
But is that selfish? It is.
But
I think it's the most selfish thing, and it doesn't mean it's bad. But I think that if you think about what selfish means, not good or bad, but if it means pertaining inwards towards oneself exclusively.
But at the same time,
you really are. You're thinking like, my life is not going to be as good anymore as it was before. Never again.
Yeah, but the thing about the selfish part is you got to remember this too. We go to no matter what happens in our life, no matter what person comes and goes. With me, what women come and go. There's one person you lay down with every night of your life. And so that might be the one you want to take care of. Right? That's you lay with yourself every night, no matter what happened that day. You're going to bed with yourself. So from the beginning to the end.
That's good advice. That's good advice. That I always talk about, this kind of RVDology too. We got a lot of peers that have a lot of unnecessary guilt that they put on themselves. And, I got no bones in my closets that I haven't opened up myself,
I ain't got a closet.
That's part of why RVD vibes, the way that I do, is because I believe in honesty. That's one of my favorite qualities about myself. Now,
I like that too.
If I say I'm the most honest person that I know, that's when Bobby Fulton said, "Me too." He was full of shit. He was full of shit. But a lot of people, though, they'll automatically, because they don't have honesty in their life, they don't believe that it's real. They'll say, "Oh yeah." As soon as someone says they're being honest, they're lying right then. And that's how some people live. They vibe differently.
Just like Eric Sims, you know him, right? Eric Sims.
Yeah.
Eric Sims. He got ESS, no BS with ESS, and I called Honky Tonk Man on the phone. I said, because he can't stand Eric. I said, hey Honky, what's up, bro? Hey, got some new T-shirts Eric selling. Says no BS with ESS, which is Eric Sims, whatever. He goes, well, that's bullshit right there. Yeah, man.
Man, looking back at that ECW when it came around, I kind of compare it to like rock and roll in the 80s, glam metal, and then when grunge came around, just completely wiped it out. Very similar with ECW, man, what it did to the scene. Do you think ECW would have had that same impact if Sabu had not been a part of it, Rob?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, that was a big part of it, yeah.
I wouldn't have been there either. If Sabu wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have been there.
New Jack.
Very well without Sabu could have hypothetically ended up just being like death match garbage,
Yeah.
The style of death matches that to me are across the line in the garbage matches are when the wrestlers don't even have to know how to wrestle in order to do those matches,
Well, there's a handful of those out there.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying W could have ended up being something.
I think I said that at the beginning of the show. I was like, I not to put anybody down, but when you have to depend on ladders, tables, and chairs, it means you can't work. But the Dudleys came around. You guys came around and changed all that.
But that's why people are confused. Like I said that I didn't prefer the death match, and the more that they went that way, I like the wrestling more. So many fans were like, "What a hypocrite! You were ECW." Like in their minds, they think that I had these fucking flaming pizza cutter matches.
That they were all the same.
Never. I never even used tables unless it was like it made sense. Like I would use it with Sabu, but like my whole career, like if I'm working indie guys or whatever, and they're like, or whoever it is, and the refs come over at the beginning of the show, like, what? Let me know what you need under the ring. I always say just a chair. You know, as long as there's a chair out there, I'm good. Well, do you want a table? And it's always the other person's idea. And I'll reverse it on them or whatever. But anyway, no fucking flaming pizza cutter matches for me. No fucking electric fish hooks going through my. That wasn't my thing at all.
No, and God bless Cactus Jack and what's his name, Mick Foley, for that being what he wanted to do. He could actually work, but doing that, to me was just unnecessary. Because we're still going to be human beings after we're done with our 20 years of wrestling, 30 years, whatever it might be. Then you got to walk around like this because you did a barbed wire on top of a cage match. It's like, man.
It's not for me. And usually the ones on Instagram, I don't know if you see those on there, but usually there's just like 6 people standing around the ring too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you got to cut your head off. There's more people in the dressing room.
Yeah.
What happened to Tanaka? Hey, let's do a couple more.
I was trying to help him behind the scenes, man. I'm still waiting on him. I had to send him the link again.
Grab a couple questions.
Yeah, let me find some. Oh, so one of the big things, guys, and I'm sure both of you can comment on this. People were wanting to know, do you believe that Sabu belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Well, if you ask me, yeah. If I get a vote, it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get a lot of credit for helping change the business and whether I deserve that or not, I definitely don't deserve all the credit. And Sabu affected the business and
changed it
in such a big way. And at that same time, when there was a few guys, like Lightning Kid coming along, and just like there was a few that were doing, like diving out, and then. That was a big risk back then, just diving out. And then, now they're doing flips over the top down to you. Like, damn, man. There's so much style today, and
it's unreal, man.
Yeah, so much that has been influenced by Sabu. I think that alone should have given him a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Anytime you change a game, you make it different because you came through. Like with Steph Curry, they say about the 3 points. Now that's the big thing in the NBA. Or Lawrence Taylor, like the rush edge coming in. Anytime you change the entire game, yeah, you belong to be remembered, forever.
Yeah.
And he definitely did that, with his stuff in ECW and more. So, yeah, I definitely agree that he should be in. I'm sure a lot of fans do.
Oh, absolutely, do, without a doubt. Good question right here from Mr. Larry Bird. He said,
"Oh, Larry, he's in the chat room a lot.
Outsmoke RVD."
Uh-oh.
No.
I think about it.
No, well, yeah. What I'm trying to think about is like, like what would he do if I was just smoking one after another? Because I could kind of picture him being like, I'm good. He's one of the guys that, like, a lot of people seem to, like, after they smoke a joint, they want to smoke a cigarette. It's never made sense to me, but then I'm not a cigarette smoker. I know it makes sense to cigarette smokers, but I would always be like, Kyoto would do that. I'd be like, what are you doing? You're ruining like the air and everything with that poison. And no, I'm covering up the smell. I'm like, exactly. Don't do that. That's
I heard that a lot too. A cigarette smoke. No, I'm covering up the smell. Now
yeah, they like to light up right after a good meal and right after a joint even, and it's kind of weird, but Sabu would do that, and he's also the only guy that I know of that smoked cigarettes that never wanted to quit, and he didn't do it all the time. He just did it because he liked to, and he would do it.
I don't think I ever saw him smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, he wasn't like a several pack a day, but if we were on tour and we were smoking a lot of weed, then he would be smoking every day, and he just like he would like somebody to smoke one before he goes out to the ring, and he wouldn't freak out if he didn't have it, and he also never, he never wanted to quit. I'm like, usually cigarette smokers are like, I know it's a bad habit, I'm working on it, I'm too weak to. I love but and Sabu would be like, no, I don't want to quit. I just I smoke because I
want to do.
I've never heard anybody else say that about cigarettes.
No,
he's probably not the only one, but the only one that I heard say that.
Oh man, what else you got, brother?
Gavin on here said, did Sabu ever have a dream match that he would talk about that he ended up doing or not doing?
Damn. Unfortunately, nothing comes to mind. I don't think so. I don't remember him mentioning. Nope. All I do know is that when it came time for his last match, when it came down to the very end, he didn't want to quit. Like, he was wanting it to be a retirement match. He was training for it. We have a documentary that we are putting together that captures a lot of this time where Sabu was training for his last match, and the night of the match, you'll see him on it. He had laryngitis. His voice was weird. That's something too. We can't put the end on the movie until we have his services and stuff. And I think I explained how that's going, but
yeah.
But anyway, I do know that he wasn't ready to call it quits. He told me, and he also told Fonzie that he wanted to do something in Japan. Fonzie went and had T-shirts made. And then he gave me one. I had it on, I think you're on my podcast this week or whatever, or maybe it was my signing in Chicago, OW. Anyway, it's there's a shirt made of Fonzie and me and Sabu that Fonzie went and had made for this Japan tour that him and Sabu were supposed to be doing that nobody even knows about. And he wasn't ready to hang it up, you know.
I don't think we ever get ready for that.
No, I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. But what I wanted to add to that though was that he does a lot of foreshadowing, you know, and I told you as far as his Obi-Wan Sabu Wan Kenobi presence. You guys, if you saw Dark Side of the Ring, you know, it was kind of got very emotional. He's talking about, you know, dying and going to the funeral, and if you don't make it to the funeral, that person knows that you love them. Well, he does that in the documentary too, and he talks about dying like boom right after the last match.
That was crazy to me too. I just watched that one. It was about the Sheik, and when he was on it, I think you were. I can't remember if you were. I think it was, but he was in it a lot, of course. And man, the next thing you know, he didn't get to see it.
Right. Yeah. No,
that was the part that made it sad. Like he didn't even get to see it.
Yeah, it was like 2 days. I think it was on Tuesday. Yeah. And he passed on Sunday, and he just I knew that was going to be an emotional one for all of us to watch. But it's like Sabu talks to us from beyond when you watch it. It's
crazy, man.
Yeah.
And as you know, that kind of stuff happens for a reason. I truly do believe that, man. It's when you see it in retrospective. Here's a good question I think both of you can answer. Aaron said, do you all have any suggestions for top matches of Sabu's that we can watch to remember his amazing career? I know you're not asking me. The first one I would say is Sabu and RVD. But
I was just thinking that same thing. So RVD, outside yourself, who they're probably Guerrero when y'all were in ECW.
But I was going to also say, if you haven't seen it in a while, the tag match of Sabu and I against Hayabusa and Senzaki from Dayton, Ohio. They know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's an incredible match.
Was it? Okay, I'll go check that. I got to check that
out.
You
know what? Since you mentioned that, on my YouTube page, my YouTube guy has been posting like 2 Sabu matches every single day, like for the last couple of weeks. And, the real RVD. That I have a couple of YouTube pages, but at that one, the for the last couple of weeks, and he's still loading. He's doing it. What did he say? He's going to load today. He said, I can't remember. I can't remember. But he'll usually tell me, he'll text me and say, hey, I put Sabu versus Taz the first time they wrestled, like in 93 or whatever. I'm like, fuck yeah, put that on. I want to watch that one. But
yeah,
I first met Taz in WCW in 92, 93.
In WCW?
Yeah. We were both babies, but he had an afro too, like I said, Sabu did.
I tried to find a picture of it earlier, man. When he was talking about it, I couldn't find it. I would love to see it.
I can just see that on Sabu too.
Here's one for you, Rob. Question for RVD. Did the Sheik ever have a sense of humor? I have heard that he was really tough and all, but did anybody like you that were close ever catch him in a rib?
Oh shit. Yeah, that's one I wouldn't try.
None come to mind.
No, I'll tell you this little story. I was just thinking of something that Sheik told me, which normally he wouldn't share, but there was a guy named New York Raymond. Do you know who that was, Marty? No. Oh. One of his weird dude, but he was a manager guy of Sheik's. But anyway, I'm not going to tell that story. What I'm going to tell you is that we were so intimidated by him and shit. This show in Vermont, Sheik is sitting down. He always had this briefcase, right? And he was very protective over showing us what's in his briefcase. And he had it down on the ground and he had it open. And I told Sabu, I was like, I'm gonna sneak around, behind him and look in his briefcase, And I went around behind him and I started I was getting up behind him and I'm like 19 or something. This is like we're wrestling, I'm not like a little kid, but I felt like one because I'm trying to look over his shoulder, and then right when I went to look at it, he saw me and went wham, and he slammed it shut, and me and Sabu both just went running down the hallway like kids.
Yeah, but he's just somebody just gave that aura out. Now let's fuck with the next guy.
Yeah, and I was like, because he kayfabed us the entire time. I remember eventually he showed Sabu how to do the fireball, but with me, like that wasn't my place to know any of his secrets.
Right.
He didn't even teach me any secrets of wrestling. It was all about like the grabbing and reversing and struggling and trying to pin.
Wrestling.
Yeah. There was no place for here's how to do a working punch. That wasn't in that was not part of my tutelage.
Guys, I'm going to ask this question real quick, and then I'm going to hop behind the scenes and see if I can get Tanaka. But I'm going to pull that up real quick for you. It's Brian.
You better hurry, man. We almost into the next day.
I know it, man. It says, RVD, did you ever find it frustrating that Sabu never really spoke in the ring, nor very vocal in general?
No, I thought it was very, very fitting. He was just vocal enough. Yeah, I thought, that was just that was how he is. I thought just like he did. We actually agreed on almost everything. Like when it comes to wrestling, critiquing, pointing something out. Like if we were both to watch a video of a match and then critique it for you, we would agree on
everything.
Yeah. And it was always like that. But he didn't want to talk, and I think that it added a lot of mystique to him.
Hey, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
And just like his uncle, like never spoke English, like on camera. Nobody thought that he could speak English, and he was always in that. The only time I saw his uncle break character was when his granddaughter was at the house. She was like really young. I saw her on Dark Side of the Ring. I was like, oh my God, her name was Susie. Because I remember it was Susie, but someone had me convinced I had the name wrong. But when she would be over there and she was just, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know kids that much. 6, maybe. I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 7 years old. And she could be like, how's my little Susie? Come here, give your grandpa a kiss. And then even then, like if I'd be looking at a smiling, he'd be like, what are you looking at? He never broke except for like around that. And so I think if Sheik would have been like, Bubba Brazil tonight when I got you in the steel cage in fucking Cobo Hall, that would have made him just like everybody else. Insane.
Yeah, it didn't fit the character. I mean, he pretty much lived the character.
And Sabu was mysterious like that.
Yeah.
I like that when he just would say like one word, which he didn't even like, but looking at it, especially now, just for him to be like, Taz, like that means so much because he never says
it. Yeah. Or just a yeah or no or whatever, that was befitting, that was perfect. That was there. What happened, brother?
I don't know. So he's back there again. Hopefully Pat got my message. If you go to settings and there's a drop down menu that says audio and camera, make sure those are connected. As soon as he gets on there, I'll be pulling him up, guys. I'll take another question while we're waiting. Ben said, question regarding Sabu, except for hometown in Philly that really popped. When did he show up in the arena?
Huh?
Oh. Besides his hometown in Philly, what arenas did they give Sabu a big pop?
Huh.
I mean, there was a few.
Yeah, I mean, think just about everywhere. Didn't the lights used to go off before Sabu came in?
Yeah, I don't know if that was every single time or not. Marty Jannetty versus The Miz.
Who?
The Miz.
Oh, that was
the rise and fall of Marty. We'll do that behind the tape.
Gosh.
Put on the dark side of the ring.
Oh no, man! That one, if that's the one I think,
New York City, because that was a heavy ECW town, and so they were always a big rival with Philly, and brought it. Obviously that's where I had my match with Hammerstein Ballroom. When I had my match with John Cena there, and you could hear the crowd during Sabu and Rey Mysterio's match there as well, you know. But man, we're both what you call over in the business.
Yeah.
You know, so we've always been very popular, myself and Sabu, and you know, like when we very, very first started out, we got to introduce ourselves to the crowd. They don't know who we are when it's your first time in every town. You're not on TV yet, but after that, we both have always we've always both been on a good rise, and our paths went separate, and then they would cross, they'd separate again. You know,
that's kind of cool when that happens, though.
Yeah,
you shoot off different ways, and here we are again.
Yeah,
and you shoot off and
here we are again. When I was with All Japan, he was wrestling for FMW, and then New Japan, and he was like the top indie guy there, and his price was going up and up. Everyone was trying to book him in the States. And then he came over to All Japan, and that was awesome. We got to work together again, you know. And before I went to ECW, you know, I hadn't like worked with him in a while. He had to catch me up to speed to the whole vibe of the Northeast, you know, because I was down south, you know, like where Marty
is different too.
Come on, everybody. You do that in Philly, they're gonna boo you right out the door.
Yeah, it's different in the South. You know, with Tommy Rich. Hey, somebody say something about fired up.
Yeah. USA.
Yeah.
And
it's personal.
And then I go to Philly and they're like, you suck dick. You suck dick. Like, whoa.
You know, one of my
rough.
Rob, I want you to hear this. I've told it before. In fact, on here, I don't know, since Eric's been here. But my favorite memory with Sabu, we was in Australia, and you know Sonny and Skip, you know, remember them? They were all on tour Australia, and we left the hotel on the tour bus, all the guys, all the boys, shit, and we pulled over to get something to eat. Everybody's hungry, shit, and you know the boys emptied the bus, come back in, and I think Sabu actually put the tape in to start with. I'm not sure, but you know the little VHS
VCR gimmick,
yeah, and it had like Animal Planet or something, and it showed like lions running down gazelles and tearing them up. And Sonny comes in, sits down, and she looks up and she sees it for a second, and she just quietly just got up and went and took that out and took the tape out, threw it down, and just left nothing, didn't put nothing back in. Yeah. And she goes, "I can't believe y'all would watch that shit." Yeah. Sabu was sitting in the back of the bus, never said a word, like you said about quiet. Yeah. Walked right up the aisle to the front, took the tape, put it back in, walked all the way back, and she went crazy. God damn it! She got up and went and did it again, switched it out again, and like, I can't believe y'all. It's Animal Kill. Got quiet. Here comes Sabu. Put the tape back in, and she goes, "Fuck you, Sabu. That's fucking crazy." He goes, "What are you eating right now?" She had a big ass chicken sandwich in her hands.
That's great.
And what was funny though, Chris, you know, Chris always stood by her, wrong or not. She got off the bus. We're in Australia. We're like an hour outside of Sydney. It's in the middle of the outback. You know, where the hell we at? She got off the bus. Fuck y'all. She got off the bus, and Chris went with her. And we're thinking, like, the bus driver had to go. We got to go to the show, you know, or the agent or whoever's like, we got to go. We left them, and we're thinking,
at a bus stop.
No bus stop was right in the middle of some little place that had a food thing. We're thinking, how are they going to get back? They're in Australia. This ain't America. They're not going to find their way home. The funny that night we got back about 2 a.m, and Sonny and Chris were both in the damn lobby. He's sitting there like, how the hell did y'all get back? But that was just funny, man. Sabu, he didn't say much at all. And he goes, "What are you eating?" Standing there with a big goddamn half a bird chicken sandwich.
That's funny. When we did our first time on the road with USWA in '91. That's where we met Candido and Sonny. So Sabu's known her for a long time.
Yeah, I heard other things too, but you know, that we won't talk about here.
Yeah. But back then though, I'd had like a dozen matches before I went to USWA, and then my first match there was against Chris Candido in Nashville.
He was good. He was solid.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm green as fuck. This is.
Oh, at the time, okay.
Yeah, I forget you were 40 in 1990 because I had just gotten out of high school.
Damn, man, you're a young one. Yeah. No wonder you look young. You're young.
But anyway, they were traveling together, and Sabu invited them to ride with us. At one point, we had like 5 people in the car, but that's how you rolled back then.
I know you said Sabu wasn't a ribber, so let me rephrase the question. I know you gotta have something. I know you gotta have some funny stories with Sabu, Rob. Is there one that sticks out?
Why don't you just go ahead and make a big stogie, a fatty for Pimp Daddy?
Yeah.
Is that the second one, or are you like Dr. Not the first one?
I think that's the third one.
Who's counting? Funny stories with Sabu. Man, this wasn't. No, I don't want to tell that one either.
Yeah, you do.
Here's one.
Tell it and then say I'm not going to tell it though.
Yeah, that's how Marty does it.
Yeah, but you know what? That was one time in the dressing room. He had his white underwear with a big, nasty, thick skid mark on it.
Oh, damn.
He thought it was so funny. He kept, wanting to show everybody and stuff. And then he ended up putting it on the doorknob of the dressing room so you would have to touch it.
He must have hung out with the nasty boys.
Wasn't a good river. Like, dude, gross. That is not funny.
He must have hung out with the nasty boys. That's some shit they would do right there.
That's the kind of stuff that nowadays probably wouldn't be acceptable in any place of employment.
I don't even know if we fit. You're still in and out. I don't even know if I'd fit in today's boys. They're just. It's like machines, robots. Home. I mean, it's not like it used to be party, or at least I'm not on the road, so I don't know. But I hear it's pretty much strictly business. Go and do your job, go home.
That's why the newer generations are going to live longer than our peers who all partied their asses
Maybe
off.
Our parents, but not me and you. I've got to 102.
No, but you know what I mean. Yeah, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, the lifestyle that.
And so much more, information.
Now. Yeah, it's more professional. And also like everybody looks like Rick Rude now. Not really like Rick Rude, but you know what I mean. Like he stood out, like, oh my god. And now like jobbers sometimes have great bodies, and you need more than that.
Yeah, because man, back in our beginning days, so mine, I didn't realize you're that damn young. 90s, you started in 90. But the jobbers back when I was first getting in, 84, the jobbers come to the ring. You didn't even need to see the other guy. You already knew who was losing.
Right. Yeah.
You definitely ain't winning.
Right.
You should be a ticket buyer, not in the ring.
Right. There's a lot of guys now on TV that look like that motherfucker. or like that motherfucker's little brother.
Yeah.
But once the funniest thing I can think of that was it was an almost. That's you and El Snow there, right? Anyway, I think so.
Are you having a conversation with yourself?
Possibly, but. When we were in Ireland one time, Sabu and I were in the bleachers, off limits, watching the show behind the curtain, and Gangrel was coming up, and he had a coffin match, and we were looking at his coffin. And earlier in the trip, while we were on the road, we were at a truck stop, and we found this blow-up doll that ended up making the rest of the tour with us.
The female blow-up thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking, man, if we put her in that coffin, like right before they pull it out
Oh
there.
shit!
I'm not a ribber either, but I was just like, dude, can you imagine like during the match, Gangrel opens it up, tries to put his opponent in there, you know, like we need helium so it'll go right up to the ceiling or something, you know.
That'd have been good.
Sabu went and got her and he put her in there. We got her in there. And so we were up on the bleachers and we're just watching, you know, like a dog that has a bone nearby, just guarding, you know. And we were laughing and we're, you know, oh my God, they're coming up next. You know, this is gonna work. This is gonna be so fucking funny. And then his wife, Hitomi, went down and opened it up and took a picture. And that ruined it because Ann, the tour manager, saw that. And then she came over and opened it up to see what she was looking at, and she was so pissed. Like they didn't think it was funny at all. But even though it didn't even happen, just imagining that it was going to happen,
that would have been great, man. I guarantee you, 20,000 people would have been laughing.
It was in a high school gym, so that's why they were upset too.
Oh, okay, yeah. And sponsors like, no, you can't have no blow up naked dolls.
Yeah.
You know, Dustin Rhodes used to do that with us. When we'd make road trips, about 5 or 6 of us would rent a van together and make road trips. He pulled into an adult store, like, man, what are you doing? You getting a magazine now? It was middle of the day. Comes out with a little box, and the next thing you know, he's got a blow-up doll. He puts it in the passenger side, and we're driving to the town, and every time we stop anywhere, the cars next to us is a blow-up doll with a mouth like this. Yeah. And the arms, I don't know why the arms were out like straight up. What the hell was that?
See, there's a subject no one talks about: wrestlers blow-up doll stories. Apparently, there's several of them.
There's a lot.
Oh, look at that! That was you right there. They got blow-up doll.
Bring that finger in a little bit more, Rob.
Right.
He's good.
Hey, what happened to the Nipster?
He just called me, so we're ready to try something different. I'm waiting to see if he pops up down there. He said it's been happening to him the past couple nights. He hasn't been able to get on.
Tell him we'll hang on this year, one more year.
Yeah, we'll hang on just a little bit longer and see what's going on.
Did you and Pat Tanaka have a house that you shared in Tampa or no?
No, we didn't share it. It was his and his girlfriend's, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And we'd stay in it. I'd go down there and stay with him a lot. Me and him been close since we met in '87. Him and Paul Diamond were boys, and me and at the time Sean and I had already formed the Midnight Rockers, and we all met each other. And Pat and I hit it off great. You know, a couple of party guys, wild and crazy, yada. And Sean and Paul Diamond, you know, the part of Pat's part, they hit it off and were like, you know, a couple of, I don't want to say sticks in the mud, but stiff is the best word I can think of. And so Pat and I, ever since then, we're always friends, really good friends, and went through a lot a lot in life.
Now, hopefully we get to hear this from him if he pops up. But Marty, do you know how Pat and Sabu knew each other?
Well, I know, like I said, I think I said this earlier on this show, which was like 2 days ago. Pat came to me at WWF, and Rob, you might know better about what it was all about. But Pat had to come to me, and Sabu was coming in, and he said, "Hey, Marty, keep an eye on him, help him out. Take care of him." Which, yeah, of course. And it was for WWE, and I think it was a TV. I'm pretty sure that day was a TV taping, and he was there for a couple days, 2 or 3 days that I know of, and it could have been all TV tapings because we used to go through the whole weekend back then, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday when they started Raw. But then he was gone. I mean, he was there for a few days. And then he was gone. But, Pat had asked me to look out for him because he was, good for Pat was saying he's a good friend of mine. And he's very good. Look out for him.
Well, wasn't Pat involved in those Northeast shows that Joe Goodhart and whoever was running. I guess Todd Gordon was part of it, but it was the ECW before it was ECW. There was some big shows out there that everybody was talking about. He's friends with Paul Heyman, right?
Who?
Pat.
I hope not.
Oh,
but he probably is.
Oh, okay, right. I don't know why I can picture him telling me that, but I don't know. So I don't know when they met. Either.
Was that that wasn't Savoldi's? That wasn't the Savoldi's?
No, that was across the river in New Jersey, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. I don't know much about that.
I don't know if either of you guys know this. We got a question from the chat. Brian said, "Is it true?"
Did Paul manage Bad Company? Paul Heyman? No.
What's it?
Was Bad Company Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka?
Yes.
Before?
Yes.
And didn't Paul Heyman manage them?
No. They were on their own. Then they got Diamond Dallas Page came out with them for a little bit.
Okay. Was that AWA?
Yeah, AWA days.
Oh, so
and Diamond Dallas.
Sabu was an AWA.
Sabu.
Yeah.
And AWA.
Yeah.
Not.
Oh no, you're talking about Pat. My bad.
Yeah,
I was trying to put them together.
Yeah. My bad. I completely had a brain fart on that one.
I thought I drank too much beer, and I didn't even drink no beer.
Yeah. Brian on here said, "Is it true Sabu would botch moves on purpose, like slip and fall on purpose, or were they actually mistakes?"
He kept you guessing. You don't
get to know.
Something you don't see much anymore.
He would tell me, it can't be perfect every time.
Right.
That makes it look more fake than when you slip and fuck up or something. And so he would do that. Like he would go chair, top rope, and then sometimes just nut himself. And then sometimes, and then Dave Meltzer would write about it in the sheets. And
that's the garbage can, man.
Again, he missed so many spots. And a lot of them he was doing on purpose. He'd call him in the back and shit.
Terry Garvin, he's passed on. Good friend of mine. Loved him to death. He would tell me like the same thing. He goes, everything's so perfect. It looks choreographed. He goes, start doing this, Marty, when you're working. I forgot who it was, and I think it was somebody Terry didn't like, TJ Stone or somebody that we didn't ever get to know well. But he was like, when you do the drop down, tackle drop down, he's on the drop down, raise up as he's going across to jump across you, raise up. So I did, and oh my God, he was plumping out on the floor. Oh my God, he got so mad at me. But it was like what you just said. I mean, like, hey, look, if it's not choreographed, everything ain't going to be perfect.
Yeah, so he would do that. I definitely did it a few times. I don't know if it was in ECW, if it was before that. Working with Sabu, I'm not sure. Kind of seems like it was an ECW, but I right away didn't like the reaction from the crowd, and so I kind of was like, "Nah, I don't think I'm gonna keep that. I'm not gonna keep that psychology as part of my repertoire. I appreciate it, but what did I do? I can't remember what I did. Probably went up for the to go to the top with a single jump, but then like slip on the corner post. I've done that a couple times and on purpose, and it was just like it made sense, And he was my mentor. Like anything he said was boom. His word was bond. So I was at that age where I was just his soldier. When I got to ECW, so whatever he said was just all I needed to hear. He'd say "fuck that guy," then "fuck that guy." You know what I mean?
Hey, let me. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but I was like, I was kind of like his young boy, and then and then the student surpassed the teacher.
Yeah, which happens.
Perspective.
When you were there, with Paul talking about Paul Heyman, back to him. Paul and I were very good with each other, loved each other, whatever, as boys. He'd come up to me to the China Club in New York City and give me ecstasy. Like, hey man, here, check some of this out, like ecstasy. Oh shit, and then chase the girls around. But we went from that to him writing me bad checks at ECW, and he would always blame it on that Todd Gordon guy.
That wasn't uncommon, was it, Rob?
Yeah, I read Todd Gordon's book, and he explains everything that was going on
his way,
his perspective. Yeah, but it makes a lot of sense, and I had no idea a lot of the scamming that Paul was likely doing to him because he did it to all of us, and it was like,
that's what I was going to ask you,
because we were thankful for it.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you next. Is like what I understood was, because I was mad about $1,000 check bouncing, was he's like, hey, Taz, Chris Candido, I don't know if they said your name or not, but there's like a handful of his boys that were solid with him. He owed like 50 grand, 60 grand. He was going to reinvest. He was helping. Hang on. We're almost there. Did he do that with you?
I heard him give those speeches like to a bunch of us. For me, I only remember. I think I got shorted. I had a check bounce like once, and there was some money that was being backed up while I was still getting paid other money, so I was all right with that. He told me, like a few years ago or whatever, that I said to him way back then, during that time, you don't have to pay me. And so he says that he always appreciated that. And I'm like, I said, what? I don't remember it that the way that he seemed to.
He's a hustler, man. He's definitely a worker.
Did he ever come back years later and apologize to any of you guys about that?
Not that I know of.
And what I understand, when Vince, as he was buying out ECW and making it part of the company, when all that happened, he said the money, before you get the money, you pay those guys you owed. Now, whether that was true or not, I don't know, but that's the word that we all got, was he said, I'll buy only after you, here's the money to pay them. You pay them first. So,
right. You don't want to buy a company that's in debt, but it went bankrupt. And when you go bankrupt, you're cleared of debts, right?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
But then again, from what I've heard, Vince was giving money to Paul way before that.
Yeah.
And like farming some of the talent.
How'd you hear that? What the hell was you hiding underneath the blanket?
Sheets.
Okay, you can't go by Dave Meltzer.
No, not just Meltzer, reading the drama.
But for the record, I don't know if Paul owes anybody an apology. Somebody asked me on my show recently, do I think that since Paul's making big money now, that he should take some of that money and pay back, whoever he owes ECW? And I thought about it. Of course, no. My answer is no, and here's why.
Okay.
First off, you're not legally obligated to pay them now. Okay, so if you take that off the table, who in their right mind would say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take $2 million out of the bank, and I'm going to go pay off this 30-year-old fucking debt that I had back then that's been cleared, to the people that are still alive. Like, fuck no, there's no obligation whatsoever.
No, but that's on your own conscience, though. If you're okay with that, then you're right. The scenario you just said is correct. But if you got a conscience, you got to live with that.
Well, I mean, if he's got some direct stories of how his, whether it was inappropriate or just mistaken actions caused people hurt or whatever, then, he would have to deal with it. But as far as having a business and trying everything, scratching at the walls while they're pulling you out the door before you let them finally close the door. And then in the meantime, a lot of us became legends,
Yeah.
A bunch.
We got to entertain, and that's what we want to do,
Hell of a promoter, man. You guys had that David versus Goliath thing going on there. And I remember seeing behind the scenes some of those speeches. that Heyman used to give everybody. What were those like, Rob? It seemed like he definitely had a gift for motivating the guys and getting them fired up in a way nobody else.
Gift of gab.
Yeah, he did. And we were all thankful for the opportunity, and we all had that common vibe. Like, we loved what we were doing. We loved the interaction and the reaction from the crowd, and we looked forward to it. We were so excited to be part of it. You know, a lot of the guys, whether they consciously were using it as a stepping stone or not, they left for, you know, better financial offers, and you know, maybe it worked out good for them, maybe not, whatever, I don't know. But I really wanted to not have to leave. I was really hoping that some of that bullshit could have been true, and that maybe USA Network was going to buy ECW, and we we're going to be able to just keep doing what we're doing, except for now we're going to be getting competitive wages because we're being watched by as many people, and that was just never meant to be. And we're really too niche of a thing to even compete with mainstream, and I realize that now. You know, we're a counterculture movement.
Slow down.
That's super cool, but for less people.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Paul like now?
Oh, we're lovers. No, it's good. It's like it always has been. You know,
Rob, you know, that's one thing about you. No, everybody loves you. You know, Eddie Mansfield, who's got a lot of haters, and he always talks. Once he's dealt with you, you're like with the Smoking Guns, you know, and whatever they went on to be, you know, Bart and Kip and all that, and Billy Gunn and all that. Once you came through there, he's like, he don't like you no more because you left him. He loves you to death. Everybody always loves you, bro. Everybody always loves you.
What even the ones Marty is put me over on your podcast.
Yeah, that's
what you need to do.
That's what he told me recently. He goes, "I'll get your ratings up. I'll get your ratings up."
Yeah.
And he said it on the show. He goes, "You're gonna get good ratings because I'm on here." And it was the lowest one. It was like the lowest number. But he means well. He loves you to death, though. Anytime I say your name, yeah, well, Rob, he's a good one, man. I like him. He's a good one.
I can't say I've ever heard anybody speak negatively about you, man. And that's rare in the business.
Wait, what? They don't speak bad about me? They might tell the truth, like, oh, goddamn, he fucked up a lot. That ain't speaking bad. That's speaking truth.
Yeah, guys, I don't think Pat's going to make it. We've been trying for a while, so just letting you know that.
There's no dirt out there to find on me. You know, I was told.
Except one dude did get mad. He got mad at me. He didn't even get mad at you. Remember, I called you one time and said, "Hey, bro, this guy wants to book you, and you know, you feel like working, you know, or doing the show." And you told me, you said, and I thought this was like crazy, but I found out it to be true. You told me, "Marty, I really don't want to work these days. Yeah, my price is $25,000. You know, and most of them fly-by nights ain't going to go for that, right?" And so it's that he goes, "I get upset when they say okay, because now I got to pack my bag and I got to go work." But my price wasn't nowhere near yours. But I found out when I raised it up, the same thing, because I don't even want to work now. So I'm throwing them a price. I don't give a shit if you take it or not. You know.
What about all them women out there in the streets?
Well, I not accidentally. I got married, and so now I have to behave.
You sound like you're really sure of that. Like, right? I gotta behave, right, baby?
But what I'm happy, man. I couldn't be in better hands.
Cool. Congrats.
Yeah, or legs. Wait, what?
What's the status on your heels there, Rob? How long is that going to have you down?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really down, really. I mean, I can't wrestle yet.
Yeah.
But I'm walking, and I'm walking a little faster and a little better every day. And so, I'm back on my feet already. And I don't know how long it'll be till I can actually rest. I would imagine at least a month.
But you're working out and stuff still. Because I think one morning, how we do at 6 a.m, you told me you was heading to the gym.
I crawled out there, dude, for the first 2 weeks. I crawled out to the gym. My knuckles were all fucking full of holes in my knees and shit because I couldn't be on my feet at all. I didn't have a chair till we got one. And even with that, if it's like short distance, instead of getting up and getting in a chair and getting off of it and shit, it was just easier to crawl and fucking.
I actually have done that because of that very reason. I'm like, what about crutches? Hell with it. I'm just gonna crawl.
Yeah.
when I get to my bathroom, the wheelchair won't go through there when I'm in the, when it's fresh after surgery. And the crutches, I need them. It's like, or I can hop. 3 good hops and I'm at the toilet. But if I hop and hit the carpet, it slips, or the floor's wet, or when I hop, if I lose just a little bit of balance, my ankles, I'm gone. Cover the head because there's something about to hit.
So it's great to be back on my feet because I didn't even go up my stairs for like a fucking month or so. Like half of my house I didn't even get. Katie had to bring everything down for me, and now like I've gone up there probably 4 times today, up and down the stairs, like no problem. So,
but you know what? That's so true because same thing. My buddies that stayed with him, he was going to take care of me. Wakita Underlay Underheart was going to take care of me while I was rehab, getting better. And he had an upstairs.
Underlay Underheart.
Yeah, Wakita Underlay Underheart.
Okay.
and he had upstairs, and I never even once went up them stairs because I'd have to grab the railing, take a step, up, grab the railing. I'm like, fuck that. There's nothing up there that important.
Right.
Any set time of like how much longer you're gonna end up staying in the ring, Rob? Or are you just gonna do it until you think it's been enough?
Oh, look at Marty in a red. Oh, and then wait a second. I see you in this red maroon jacket, and then Savage dude has the exact same jacket on in the next cut. What?
And the Godfather had what color was Godfather's suit? Blue suit on. So we were the suit boys.
Oh, you're saying it wasn't the same jacket?
Oh, it wasn't the same jacket. No, he had his own suit. I had my own suit. He got his from Kmart. I got mine from my girl.
Okay. So, dude, I just go with the flow, and I decided, as far as my feet go, I decided to just, cancel my doctor's appointments and everything. It's like, I got this. You know what I mean? Like, you learn how to take care of yourself. And everyone's saying, don't put any weight on it at all till 8 weeks. And like at 4 weeks, I was already like walking on it. And everyone's going, you be careful. All I did was undo what the doctor did anyway when he wrapped me up. So I totally decided to pull a Sabu and say, fuck the doctors. So I don't know how long it's going to take me because I'm just going by feel, but I'm feeling
our body will let us know.
Exactly.
My doctor told me 6 weeks. Like, he goes, stay off it for 6 weeks. That's fucking hell. 6 weeks, don't put weight on it.
Yeah.
And today was 6 weeks.
I went 3.5. I went 3.5 weeks not putting any weight on, and then I started standing, and then within a week,
they had to put this cadaver bone in me, and hope that my regular bone would grow around and like make it part of my body. So it was I didn't want to mess that up, like start walking because I can walk. It hurts like fuck, but I can walk.
I've been taking CBD. I've been taking peptide bioregulators and
kratom.
And kratom, yes, when needed, that's for sure. Yeah. As far as retiring, I don't know. Honestly, maybe I'm done already. I've been saying that for years.
like about 5 or 6 or 7 that I know of.
Yeah, but I don't know. I could be. I don't even, like
you'll be in AEW next week.
No, they wanted me there this week, and I said I got 2 broken feet. Is that going to be a problem? They were out in Albuquerque, and anyway, no, and in a month from now, I don't even know. Like I don't even really care that much, so I just go with the flow.
Yeah,
really, like I wouldn't be that disappointed. I don't think if I was done, because it's like it never really sounds like. Like, oh, I need to get in the ring. I miss it. I love it. It's been like fucking 30 years since I had that kind of passion for it. It's been work.
The enthusiasm.
It's like I got to put myself under so much pressure to be the absolute best I can be and not let anybody down. And that's what made me
you're starting to get older. That's what happens. We start like thinking those kind of things. I didn't give a fuck. I knew I was going to go out there and I'm going to do the best I can do. You don't like it, you go do better and entertain yourself. But now that I've gotten older, like what you just said, that's me. Like, shit, I can't let them down. Well, I can't do what I did 20 years ago.
But just like you said, when you're not nervous, then it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
True. Boom, full circle.
Is there anything in your career, both of you, that you wanted to accomplish that you haven't yet?
For me, it was just slap Sean, but I did that accidentally one night. And Rob does the best eye roll of Sean. Can you do it?
Come on, man.
For me, it's capturing the women's NXT heavyweight.
You can probably do that nowadays.
Hey, what I'm wondering is what happened to Ecstasy? Ecstasy was so good there for a while.
You got some from Paul at the China Club. Boom!
China Club.
RVD.
Did you ever go there, Rob?
No, sir. That was before my time.
But no, it wasn't 90. You said you started in 90.
Dude, I graduated high school in 89. So
God damn, you're young.
I don't even know enough to drink.
You started wrestling in 1990, Rob?
Yeah.
Where did you originally start wrestling at?
Michigan, Indiana. My first match was in Ohio, but that area.
Just like indie promotions?
Midwest. Yeah. My very first show was,
you don't start on top.
Oh, I got you.
Unless you're Tony Allen.
Didn't used to, right? But it was actually the Sheik's show, and it would be the Sheik's last show that he ran under the Big Time Wrestling title.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah. In Toledo, Ohio. It was supposed to be outside. It got rained out with the Speedway. Got moved inside. He wrestled Abdullah the Butcher. Ken Patera was there. I can't remember who Ken Patera wrestled. And, I was...
Hey. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm...
but remind me to come back to Ken Patera. But go ahead.
Gotcha.
Go ahead. You already distracted me.
McDonald's.
I'm sorry, man.
No, I was just gonna say 1990. So, boom, boom, boom. Go ahead.
Well, Ken Patera was on a just recent on the Dark Side of the Ring. That was like a top.
Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah, you saw it. Yeah, and I saw him, and I'm like, that dude looks kind of familiar. And they said Ken Patera. I'm like, no fucking way, man.
Oh yeah. No, I've seen him at cons for the last few years. I was in a restaurant like 2 years ago, maybe at one of the hotels.
Yeah,
sitting like right next to him at the very next table and at the food, and he said something, and then he said something, and he mentioned who he was or whatever, and it took a second for me to hit, and then I looked at him and I went, "Wait, are you saying you're Ken Patera?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh," and go on. I think he was just like, nobody here knows who Ken Patera is. Something that he just threw out, some comment where I was like,
"Yeah."
wait, you're, and then I was like, yeah, of course, man. Fucking, that was a big, I mean, I was a big mark anyway when he did the thing, pushing the van with his leg. Bobby Heenan got him.
Man.
We went to jail for throwing the rock at the window.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, McDonald's. They
He
got
still swears it wasn't him.
At 11:01.
You got to have a Whopper. No, that's Burger King.
Yeah. And Saito, I guess he went back to the hotel room. Police showed up. Saito, boom, 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 boom. But they took Patera to jail.
Who was the other? Who's Saito?
One of the Japanese boys. Bad boy. Bad Mr. Saito. Yeah, that was. You know, there's the boys in the business. No, not him. like Haku, you know, during our time frame. Haku. Gotcha. Yeah, like, nah, not him.
But anyway, yeah, I've seen him at the cons, so I already know what the 2020's Ken Patera looks like.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What are you going to do, though? Are you going to go back with AEW?
I never was with them.
You just did
I just saw you like a
right?
I just did single matches. I'm just an independent contractor. I'm a gun for hire.
Yeah, man. I just saw you. I don't know. It's probably months now. It seems like the other day. But I just saw you. I'm like, God damn, Rob gets around.
Yeah, no, I broke my heels 8 weeks ago. So
I slowed a lot, yeah.
Yeah, changed some plans.
I love the fact that you don't feel no pressure to have to hurry up and get back in. You can take your time, do it.
Oh, it's been like that for years, bro.
Yeah, I know, but you know, it's sad. So many of those guys, like, they have to get back in there. That's their meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what upset me the most was I lived in Vegas for like 3 years, and the very month that I moved out of Vegas, Rob moved in. We didn't get to hang out not a goddamn time.
That is crazy.
All that time we've been boys, and then I move out, you move in. Man, shit.
You were where in Henderson, right?
Henderson, yeah.
Okay.
There was a question in here for you, Rob. I was trying to find it, but the gentleman asked for you
as one of the gentleman.
Yeah, for right now. He was saying for you as one of the boys at ECW watching the rivalry between Taz and Sabu. What was that like for you, and what was your thoughts on that rivalry?
I thought it was really cool. You know, they made me understand that those two have been building this for a long time and would be continuing to build it. They were in no rush. And the fans were loving it. I noticed that right away. I kind of got thrown into the middle of that. You know, I just entered ECW, and I don't know if it was Sabu's choice. You know, looking back at it, it would have had to have been. But I started working a program with Sabu, and Sabu would tell me that Taz felt slighted. And so instantly there's already some heat there building up between me and Taz. And Sabu would tell me these things. Like he would say that he was talking to Taz, and Taz would be like, what's up with your boy? And anyway, I was the first one to beat Sabu there. And so, you know, like I said, I got kind of thrown like right into the middle of it. And then for a while it became about me and Sabu, but him and Taz still could have been building that on the outside and made it even bigger. Yeah. And maybe they did. But you know, it became me and Sabu, me and Taz, and then me and Sabu together as a team and doing our own thing. And so, you know, organic plans always have to change because factors always change. Yeah. But seeing it, I thought it was really cool. I was still learning so much about the business, you know. In 96, I've been working, you know, like 6 whole years. I know now people think that's a veteran, you know, and they're already teaching at schools. But also this wasn't full time of 6 years, you know. This was Japan, whatever. Yeah. Collecting it all. But what I was going to say was I was learning about how, and specifically how they do it there, how they build the angles at ECW and keep everybody interested. And every time I think that they blew their nut, they would crank it up another level the next week. That was
now we got a whole lot of mo.
Was that mainly Heyman behind the scenes that was doing that creative?
That stuff. It was with that stuff. I think so. I mean, I don't know what all. I wouldn't know if Tommy was saying, you know, what we should do tonight. We should turn the lights out this time, and then when we turn them on, you know, so and so's in the ring. I wouldn't know, you know, if it was a bird whispering into Paul's ear, but I think it was him.
Dude, it was just so crazy. I remember my first time seeing ECW. I had some wrestling buddies, and we traded tapes back then because you couldn't see it that easily. And he's like, you got to watch this. The first thing I saw was Bam Bam Bigelow throwing Spike Dudley out to the crowd, then putting him back in and him throwing him back out.
That was awesome.
And I was like, I've never seen anything like this before, dude.
Right. And that's the kind of stuff that when people say, you know, do you think it could still be going today if they hadn't this or that, or if they no, because of shit like that. You can't do that nowadays, you know.
Everything evolves.
Yeah, they be grabbing your balls and fucking putting their finger up your ass and suing you, saying that your finger went in their eye and fucking.
that
I have a feeling that goes with the brown finger you was talking about.
Yeah, I was saying the brown finger's back.
Sabu's not here to say it, so I wanted to bring it up.
Hey, I like the full circleness. So that inspires me to say this. You told a story earlier, Marty, and I've only heard this expression one time before, and someone said to me, "Well, your 70% is, you know, as good as someone else's 100%. Guess who told me that?
Who told you that?
Your partner,
Sean.
Yeah, it's the only time I heard that, and this was back in like November. I was at NXT for a second, and I was talking to him, and he says, "I didn't know you were still wrestling," and I said, "Yeah, you know, well, why would you know?" And he's like, "No, I didn't know. I mean." Oh, cool. And he's like, I'm sure your 70% is, you know, as good as someone else.
Oh, he said it that way? Like you're not 100?
Well, I came back later, and it turns out I didn't wrestle. My blood pressure was up. Crazy thing. And so anyway, but I went back and told him.
Okay, that way. Okay.
I went back and I told him, I said, I was going to make you eat that 70% bullshit and come in at a strong 75.
Damn, bro. That sounds like Sean, though. Now you got to do the eye.
Bro, I don't want to do the eye.
I was just about to ask. You got me curious with that earlier about the Shawn Michaels eye roll.
Because she could do it. I don't know how you move your eye, one eye.
Well, you can't.
Oh, damn.
Oh, fuck.
Damn.
I got to jump back from the screen on that shit.
Can you wiggle your ears?
Damn.
I think that's hilarious.
Do their eyebrows, you know.
You might not. You know what? You might be one of them AI machines.
Ambidextrous.
AI
machines.
Hey, what's going on there?
There's a question here for you, Rob. It said, "Hi from Sydney, Australia." Awesome. First time joining a live podcast. Anyways, Marty, been a huge fan of yours since I was a kid. Do you have an autobiography and any plans on coming down under to Osmate? Oh, sorry, that was for Marty. Marty, you have any plans on an autobiography coming out?
Yeah, I'm working on it with several different people, and one of them's going to do it. And as far as coming there, oh man, I love Australia. Several times I was going to move there because some things happened here in America that I was like, nah, fuck this. And Australia, they might have their problems, but every time I've been there, it's been a lot. I loved it, man. And so, I was thinking of moving there, but I got one guy, I'm not going to say Andrew's name right now, but he's a promoter down there. And he's always like, let me bring you down here. Let me move you down here. Run my school. We'll run, shows. You just make an appearance. It's so tempting, but I don't know. I love Australia.
Oh yeah, man. Tap Out Talk on here said, what current active talent do you each see that has a lot of potential to really connect with the fans the most? Anybody that's sticking out?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, anybody that sticks out to you in the current wrestling scene?
Go ahead, Rob, because I can't think of nobody.
You know, I don't.
I didn't mean it like that.
I don't watch the show enough to where.
Same here.
I can't watch it, or I don't watch it enough to where I'm not for sure unfairly leaving people out. But when I have just seen it here and there, whatever, that Stephanie Verker, awesome, really good worker. And the Wes, not Wes, who's the dude that Evander, wait, fuck, yeah, I don't know, dude. But help me out.
I'm drawing the blank.
James.
I don't know, man. I there's a lot of like really good athletes, and some of them have stood out to where they look like they also have something special on top of being an athlete, and they, you know, it's in their vibe, their mannerisms, their confidence, the way that they look. Stephanie Verker is one of them. I don't know who else I'm trying to think of. But, you know, down there at NXT, when I was there, I was part of. I came out during this match that was Wes from the Treehouse guys at TNA. You know that Wes dude. I think he changed his name, but and then who was I with? I came down there and during someone's match. You don't even know. I don't know.
What about MJF, man? Out of all of them, that guy stands out to me because he doesn't mind getting heat. I mean, he seems like one of the old school heels. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him in at least a year, so I don't know like what.
Do you know him personally?
Well, yeah, enough to just say hi or whatever. And
that's right. You went through there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I met him. I don't really know him real well, but I agree. He seems like really committed, and I respect that. You know,
of course. Yeah.
It's been a while though since I've seen it, but I've seen stuff of him in public, like making the baby cry and shit like that. I thought it was so funny. Like I don't know if you saw that, Marty. Someone's got a baby and he's doing an autograph signing, and he just looked at the baby and was like, "Well," or something, and then the baby started
perfect kill, man.
Yeah, and then he just like no sells it, and I just. Come on, how you getting out?
You messed me up on camera.
but yeah, I mean, I really don't watch the product very much, and I get less than 30 minutes a month of.
A month.
You've watched more in the background
like
tonight.
We're watching the reality show LFG, right? They got some talented people there.
Today's world. And I don't know who he's with next or AEW. I think it's Trick Williams. When he comes out, and whoop that Trick, whoop that Trick.
Love him, right?
Yeah, he's pretty good, man.
Him. Yeah,
but you know what it is, Rob. You know this better than anybody. It's an ability to connect with the people.
Yeah,
I mean, you can look the part, you can act the part, but can you connect with everybody watching? And the ones that connect with all them people, that feeds over to people watching on TV, and somehow he's done that. And I'm not saying somehow like putting him down, like I don't know how he got over, but I mean, he connects with the people. There's a handful. R-Truth was like that. He connected, man.
The fans are pretty upset about him leaving.
I would, like you were talking about earlier, I was actually surprised because I mean he's what's it called? New Day, the tag team. Them and him, that's the entertainment. After that, we got to sit here and watch the same old storyline. When they come out, you don't know what you're gonna get pancakes thrown at you. You don't know what.
Javon Evans is a name I was trying to drop.
There you go.
Okay.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. I'm curious, man. Obviously, I love
Jelani Jordan doing the RVD moves.
What?
Kaylani Jordan doing the RVD moves.
Well, every move you did everything.
Kaylani Jordan.
Never heard of her. I'll have to check that out.
I think I'm saying her name right.
Do you think one of the reasons why maybe some of the current wrestlers don't seem to connect with the fans like they used to? I mean, obviously wrestling's doing as good as it ever has. At the same time, me as an old school
better when you got 2 days of WrestleMania.
Yeah, but it doesn't connect with me like it used to, man. And I wonder if it's because like knowing all these stories as a fan and listening to the podcast, like how do you guys feel like kayfabe going away has affected that?
I can't speak for Rob and Rob Holler, but I'll say this real quick because this is the way I look at it. Everything evolves, and this is what it has evolved to. Do I agree with it? No. Is it the way it is today? Yeah. And when Rob and I got in, certainly when I got in, the old schooler fans were like, "Oh, I like you, man, but wrestling is not like it was back then." They say that today. I heard that when I got in, and now that I'm out, I hear the new fans saying that. What you got right there, Rob?
Yeah, dude, is that a pug?
No, it's a Brussels Griffon.
What's the name?
People always think she's a pug. This is my Barbie.
What's her name?
Barbie, Daddy's little princess.
Dude, we don't deserve dogs, man.
Yeah, she's so awesome. He's so awesome, Barbara.
That's why I got a cat.
I agree 1,000% though with what you said as far as like, you know, it's evolved to where it's at right now, and it's just so
it's a whole different game.
Yeah, it is. It's different now, and the audience is going to connect with it differently because they don't. Yeah, I look at it like this, and now it's almost like a magician doing an interview and saying, you know, like I'm going to be pulling a rabbit out of my hat. But you can see, you know, there's not really, you know, there's a mirror.
We already know it. Yeah.
The illusion's
going out there and then doing it and getting a different reaction than if they hadn't done that first interview. You know?
Well, and that's the thing with wrestling. You know, I always, when I would get what they call smart marks, you know, would say, "Hey, yeah, but what about this? What about that?" I said, "Look, man, a good magician will not give his tricks away." So in other words, stop asking. I'm not going to tell you fucking all. But yeah, it's that way. And then some, you know, we have now, and it didn't even diminish or hurt the business. You know, when they were like, yeah, we call spots in the ring. Oh yeah, and they show on TV like, you know, like Tough Enough and whatever else they've done lately. Yeah,
like you said, it's not hurting it.
Yeah, at all. At all. In fact, they might have gained respect. It's like, oh shit, these guys go through this. You know, I think we got doctors and lawyers only recently. If you look at the fans out in the stands 30 years ago and look at the ones today,
completely different fan base.
Yeah, man. I wish.
Let me give this example. I think that the difference in the product is the difference in the connection, right? And the guys that are really good at staying committed and not exposing anything, that's your job. You want people to forget, you know, just like when they're watching a movie, and go ahead and get into it and involve your emotions. Okay, but the ones that aren't as good at staying committed through the whole thing,
there you go.
Yeah, it's just like think about it like if you're watching a porno, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, like a wrestler and the chick in the porno. I said the more committed the person watching it wants to believe that it's real, but all it takes is like one time for you to hear the director's voice back there, you know, screaming louder. But you can't be connected the way you were. The whole thing is blown.
Yeah, he pulled you out of the zone. You went ahead and like, I'm in there. Okay, you got me. That's what I tell the kids too.
That's one time when they either stop working to catch or stop working to because the person is walking the rope and holding their arm, so they stop working.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, what's wrong with, like at least grabbing their shin, trying to pull them off the rope, or why do you gotta just stop working? Because that's the director back there saying, "Fluff her pillow."
And when I do them seminars, that's what I try to teach the kids. Is like, it's a movie, it's a story. As soon as you walk out them curtains, and here comes big boom, 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 gets in the ring, and here's a fuck all y'all. Okay, that's obviously the heel. Here comes the bayface, boom, boom, boom. Hey, you got these two big ass motherfuckers. Like, this should be good, and they hook up like this. They throw a little hook up like, oh man, we was into it. Then you hooked up like that.
The ones that are the best, though, they really do connect to the crowd, and they're that's part of it. So
and that's the thing too, man. Back in the day, I mean, you're in a different world. Back in the day, you guys got through wrestling, you're on to the next town, but people really didn't see what you got going on. This is one of the reasons I said MJF. I'm friends with the guy on Facebook. Even in the comments, everything he's doing, he's living the gimmick. Like, I remember hearing about Ted DiBiase back in the day, how Vince would give him money to make him look like the $1 Million Man everywhere he went. And I think one of the places they're really missing the mark is the social media landscape. Do you guys not believe that these feuds could be used on social media, like beefing back and forth and like hype it up? And I don't know. I feel like that's something they're really missing the mark with, that you could have these beefs on social media.
Me and Marty are too old for social media.
and what you're saying, though, I actually tried that and it worked really good locally.
Yeah.
But
hypothetically.
And national level, I mean, I didn't get to do it with WWE or whatever, but yeah. I was talking about this dude that was killing dogs in the junkyard with a sledgehammer, and he would put them in a nut farm. And I got to wrestle him this week over here. I ain't scared. I'm gonna get his ass for killing them dogs. Oh. And the place was like full. Everybody was like, Marty, no, they don't. They were worried. They were scared because it said on social media he was killing dogs with sledgehammers, beating them in the head and shit. And they were like, Marty, please. And we had the thing where they brought the ambulance, brought him in, got out with the orange suit and all this shit. But they were like, Marty, this guy's crazy. Don't get in the ring with him. So it worked at that level. Whether or not it will work at a national level, I don't know.
I think it could, man. I think it could. That is like, people are always on this. And when you see that beef just heating up, on there. I mean, people argue back and forth. That's where they go to argue. Yeah. I think it could play into it big time. And I haven't seen much of it.
All right, guys. I don't think Pat Tanaka is gonna.
No, I don't think so, man.
Standing me up. I gotta pee. I'm on a powder.
All right, I love you, brother. Eric, I love you, man.
Yeah, man. Guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And Rob, thank you so much, man. This is one of my favorite.
Be at the River City Con in St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend, June 7th and 8th.
This weekend?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
All right,
guys,
brothers.
make sure to go out and check that out. You said St. Augustine, Florida?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
River City Con. It's huge. I mean, it's fucking, I didn't see it up close, but it looks like there's 1 million wrestlers there. Katie showed me the poster, and it looks like it looked like it goes like 8 or 10 across and goes down like the same. I gotta look at that later, but hey, maybe I'll do it now. No, I gotta pee. Remember?
All right, there you go. All right, man.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, love you guys.
Peace out.
Guys.